Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the overwhelming power restored Demon King Piccolo Elder and just how good he is in DBZ Dokkan Battle Global after his Extreme Z Awakening at 100% in the Hidden Potential system. Now, Demon King Piccolo Elder is honestly a pretty good unit. He was very useful upon initial release. The first time World Tournament units really, or the LRs, started to be really useful upon release, and he faded out, but because he has damage reduction and things like that, he's always been a useful, considered option for certain teams. His EZA makes him really solid. Basically, he's a terrifying Conqueror's lead, 150%, raises attack and defense on his 12 key, raises attack and massively raises defense on his 18 key. He creates TEQ key spheres randomly, whilst having an additional attack of 60% per TEQ key sphere. Key plus 5 and damage reduction of 50% with 4 or more key spheres obtained, and a high chance of performing a critical hit with 4 or more TEQ key spheres obtained. He will have defense of 100% before attacking. He has defense plus 100% as a first attacker in the turn. He launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack and a chance of evading the enemy's attack, plus 30% as a second or third attacker in a turn. And then he has an additional defense of 60% and a 30% additional evasion chance when everyone is extreme class. He will be able to transform from the 7th turn or when there is a DB Saga War Tournament or DB Seekers category enemy. When he transforms, he becomes interesting. Greatly raises attack and defense on his 12 key, massively raising attack and defense on his 18 key, recovers 59% HP once, a flat key plus 6 and defense of 100%, again continuing to randomly change key spheres, but now gaining 66% attack per whichever key sphere he obtains, high chance of performing a crit, plus an additional 6% crit chance per TEQ key sphere obtained, and 3 or starting from the 4th. So basically, from the 4th key sphere, he gets 6% more. Damage reduction of 66% for 6 turns from the character's entry, and then damage reduction of 10% up to 66% per key sphere obtained from the 7th turn from entry. Defense of 100% as a first attacker in the turn. An additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super and chance of evading plus 30% in the 2nd or 3rd slot. An additional defense of 66% and chance of evasion of 30% when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme class. In terms of links, Revival, Thirst for Conquest, Incredible Adventure, Guidance to Dragon Balls, Nightmare, Sharing the Limit, and Legendary Power, and he's on a ton of categories. Accelerated Battle, Battle of Fate, DB Saga, DB Seekers, Full Power, Gifted Warriors, Legendary Existence, Machians, etc. He is a good unit. Really tanky in both forms. Even prior to transforming, he does have 50% damage reduction with 4 more key spheres obtained. He can have 300k start of turn defense roughly, or 200k to 20. And if you couple with that the fact that he also has at any given time 30% evasion if you have an extreme team, or 60% evasion in the 2nd or 3rd slot, he's a good unit. He's not necessarily amazing, especially offensively in his base form. He's not that crazy, but when he transforms, he is way better, way more consistent offensively because he's less reliant on just TEQ key spheres, and defensively very sound. Anytime you can have a unit that sits in that close to 70% damage reduction range whilst having relatively solid defense, he's not going to let you down in a lot of situations. There'll be times where he can first slot tank, there'll be times where he can second slot tank, there will be times where he can third slot tank. Like, he will have moments where he's really going to shine defensively, especially if you can get the right number of orbs. In terms of build, I would definitely say my build needs to be corrected. I would probably change the crit out and switch it to additional and evasion. Evasion definitely helps him probably the most if you're really looking to make him super defensive. His offensiveness is a little bit insecure, or like inconsistent I should say, and obviously he only greatly raises attack and defense on his 12 key in his transform state, and only raises it in his base state. So ideally, if you're really looking to be like super duper top in terms of performance, you probably want to look at rather doing something like running him with evasion. Then in that 2nd slot, or even that 1st slot, if you're running an extreme lineup, he's going to be close to 50% evasion, even higher in that 2nd slot, so closer to 70%. Then you have the damage reduction, then you have the decent damage, and you have the orb changing. I think at that point, he is a really, really good unit. So there's definitely scope for him to be a good, consistent defensive unit. Offensively, it's entirely dependent on orbs. If you get a good number of orbs, even in base form, he can do decent damage. But really in his transform state, it's a lot easier. Base form requires TEQ orbs to get his offense. So even if you pick up like 5 physical orbs, it doesn't really count too much. Whereas in his transform state, you can pick up 5 physical orbs and it still actually counts. TEQ orbs obviously increases crit chance. That crit chance makes his attacks hit relatively decently. Again, when you're hitting a 10 million attack stat, it may not look like much nowadays, 10, 8, 9 million, but with high crit chance, those matter a lot. And then on top of that as well, if you have the premise or the ability to perform at a decent level and get a decent chunk of orbs, then he'll look pretty good. I mean, with 10 TEQ orbs, he got over 22 million. Obviously quite a fair chunk of support on him, but still, that's pretty decent, I would say. Overall, like I'd say, I think for me, he's a good flexi unit. You're going to have moments where you're going to be like, yeah, I can throw this guy in the first slot. He's going to be a machine. Then you have the moments where you're going to be like, you know what, actually, maybe second slot's a bit better. Then you have moments where you can say, push him off rotation, let him take the back heat there, let him have 60% evasion, let him have all of that damage reduction, let him be a beast. So it's really just about how you use him. I think overall, he's pretty good. Link-wise, obviously, Incredible Adventure, Guidance to the Dragon Balls, Revival, Demonic Ways, Nightmare. It's hard to get a true match for his Link set, especially at a high level. You'll see in my showcase, I was using a lot of Demon King Piccolos. I wouldn't say those units are top-notch, but he creates orbs, and really you don't need much with him. He's not there to really be the focal point. You can make him the focal point, but ideally rather just have him collect the orbs, be a solid pick, be a good flexi pick, and let him just tank and do his thing. Be a heal, be a tank, be an orb changer. Don't rely on him being your main damage dealer. He's too inconsistent for that. But as a tank, floating tank, orb changer, healer, there's lots of other great utility he brings to a lot of categories. So definitely a cool pick, cool unit. Yeah, I dig it. I dig him. I dig it. Dig everything that's happening. Think it's a good EZA and a great choice. But yeah, that's probably it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care, stay safe, and yeah, bye.